All right, you are looking live at the very first episode of the Crimson Tide Trophy Room. This is a show by the fans, for the fans, as we look back at the history of Alabama football during the Nick Saban era. And we'll also take some opportunities to look at other periods of time of Crimson Tide football. But I'm Jonathan Sanford tonight, joined by a host of some of my favorite folks that I've gotten to know here on what used to be known as Twitter. Now it's called X. I know I can't be the only person that still struggles with that, but as you'll see on your screen tonight, we have four other with us tonight who are going to be helping us to talk about this. So just go down the list and let you introduce yourselves to all the folks who will be watching here tonight. Starting at the top, Mr. Tennis.
Hey guys, it's Christian. It's nice to be here and watch some Alabama football. Old school.
Old school, that's right.
Hey guys, I'm Stephen DeFord. Roll Tide.
All right.
Hey guys, I'm Jay Witt. Just enjoying watching this and going back on memory lane of the great Saban dynasty that we went through.
Last but not least, Richie.
How's it going, everybody? It's your boy Richie. Appreciate being with everybody, watching some great football, enjoying the Saban era, and enjoying what makes the Tide special.
Well, as you see on the screen right now, the kickoff getting underway. And let's talk real quick, guys. Just what led up to this game for Alabama, this being the second year for Nick Saban at the helm of the Crimson Tide. Looking back on the 2007 season, there were two things really at play. Number one was, of course, the product own field, but also a groundswell of momentum in recruiting was happening during that 2007 season. Guys, some of the names that really stand out to you from that 2007, 2008, that period of time that would join this team here tonight.
Julio Jones. Of course, you got to think about him since this is his first game, first year playing for the Crimson Tide. And, one other one that I'll speak on is Dante Hightower, defensive end, who was really good all throughout his career with us. There's a couple there.
I think you got to look at the guy with the ball in his hands right now, and Javier Arenas, probably one of the most talented returners that we've had. Would go on to have some big plays in the DB in the backfield there. Just really a solid overall player.
I'd have to point out Mark Ingram. We were in a long, never won a Heisman. Mark Ingram comes away. This is sort of the start of the kickoff of a great career in Mark Ingram.
And you think about Mark Ingram for just a moment, the legacy, right, of Nick Saban and Mark Ingram's father there at Michigan State, right? So you had that prior relationship with Mark Sr., and certainly you think that kind of played a little bit into Ingram's recruitment and eventual commitment to Alabama, right?
Right.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Sure.
But the big one that you mentioned, the Foley Alabama recruit, Julio Jones, I mean, really, I think you guys would agree that of all the recruits that Nick Saban had early on in his tenure at Alabama, the one who really and truly set the standard or really began to build that momentum for Alabama recruiting-wise was the recruitment of none other than Julio Jones. You had Florida State, you had Oklahoma, you had about 5 teams battling for his services, and what a statement it made for Saban early on to be able to get the services of Julio Jones.
No doubt.
That's right.
No doubt.
Absolutely.
All right, well, let's look at this kickoff here. I think somebody already said we got Javier Arenas going to take this initial return out for Alabama.
Yeah, he was truly a playmaker.
Yeah, 32 yards on that return. We've seen the difference that special teams can make, and Bobby Williams heading up the special teams around this period of time for Alabama. Of course, there is JPW. I believe
I was just going to say.
Was this his third season at Alabama? Was this his third you guys correct me.
Yes, that was his third. Yes, sir.
How poetic that the guy who'll get the We'll see here in just a moment this first play from scrimmage. How poetic that Glenn Coffey got the first carry of the 2008 season, guys.
This was more of your Nick Saban pound you, make you quit. When he first came in, he would absolutely wear you down running the football. And Glenn Coffey was an excellent running back to have in Saban's, year 2. Having Glenn Coffey to be able to tote the rock, man, was huge.
You saw that on screen there, the 27th consecutive start for Andre Smith, that being a recruit that Mike Shula was able to bring to the capstone.
I was just getting ready to say that Andre was a guy that a lot of people didn't really know about, but to me he was big and physical, and his presence was huge for us, for sure, especially in this game too.
Yeah, he kind of came in and anchored the line when we had a lot of turnover, and really kind of set the tone for the next few years.
Bobby Bowden and his coaching tenure here at Clemson, coming into this game, every expectation you could ever ask for at the beginning of the season for Clemson coming into this game.
Yeah, they were 9-3.
What side of the line we ran to, by the way? You
Right.
noticed what side of the line we ran to there, right, to get the first down?
Exactly. And our tight ends did a lot of motion to go and have that double tight end on one side, both of them blocking, and they were both huge. I mean,
so this was a significant moment early on. This injury here to
and we certainly hope that is not serious.
He's crabbing at his right leg. And Ricky Sapp, as much as people
You know,
Ricky
we
Sapp.
talk about-
I was going to mention that. I couldn't remember his name, but Ricky Sapp
he's
was.
the number one player in the
We talk
nation.
about
Ricky
Glenn
Sapp
Coffey. We talk about Mark
is the
Ingram,
bell
but
cow. He's the
the guy that's really punching the holes right here, as you see, Baron Huber coming around. He was huge for the Tide.
You know, we were talking about last night, Jay Witt and I, some of those names, and Huber. I mean, he certainly was one of those names that you could not overlook, right?
Right.
I miss the Georgia Dome. Can I just be the first person to say that?
Yes,
it was
awesome.
Distinct look.
We owned the Georgia Dome.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
And just something I don't know if a lot of people know. I'm sure if you look into it, but that Saban's record for this season, the 2008 season, ended up being a 7-6 season. Excuse me, the season before.
Yeah, the
was a
2007
7-6
season. That's right.
They
Ended up
finished
in
the year
Shreveport with the win over Colorado.
correct, and the year after this season, the 2008 season, 2009, the NCAA brought down sanctions on Alabama that were from violations under Mike Shula that made us vacate 5 of those 7 wins. So
Right.
Saban's record via the NCAA is a 2-6 on that year. But his actual on field, he was 7-6. So just a little caveat on his overall record at Alabama is
Yeah, and
206
I think we all
29.
remember the textbook scandal that really kind of
Yes, definitely.
came to a head the Saturday morning before the Tennessee game in 2007.
Yes. Yep.
There's that motion again out of the backfield. Unfortunate motion there at the
All-star.
line of scrimmage, though.
And going back on Clemson's year before, leading up to this, they were 9-3. Like you said, Jonathan, they had a lot coming into this game. They did lose the bowl game, the Chick-fil-A bowl game, the previous season to Auburn in a tight one. But they did have a lot of momentum coming into this season with Tommy Bowden.
Sure did.
10th year there. Little did we know what would turn into halfway through the season.
And the expectation was that Clemson's offense would overpower Alabama here in this football game, that the offense would be too much for Alabama, that Alabama would try to keep up with Clemson scoring-wise, but just would not be able to do so.
Brent, in talking to Nick Saban this morning, he told us that the
Yeah, Cullen
we
Harper.
for his offense right now
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
of Clemson's
No, I think we always, it just showed the offensive line there and everything. I think we always overlooked Mike Johnson when we really get into to the offensive line back in these days. Just a guy that really, he did his job and he really didn't get the glitz and the glory for it like Andre did.
That's
But
very true.
those guys were really a huge part in this turnaround here.
Well, there you go. The most significant moment of the game thus far, guys. Julio Jones with his first reception as a member of the Crimson Tide.
And like you were saying, Jonathan, coming into this game, Clemson's offense was looked at to being going to overpower Alabama. Cullen Harper, he had broke like 28 school records up until this point at Clemson, and so he was like we said earlier, the ACC leading passer, and they also had the ACC leading rusher in James Davis. So it's quite the offense they had coming into this game.
Man, this was such a fun series to watch Julio catch that pass, watch Ingram get in there. We were starting to see sort of the talent that Nick Saban was going to bring in at Alabama. Just exciting times and
really the changing of the tide, if you could say
it really
that.
was.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Oh, yeah.
The stability that this offense had at this moment, this initial drive, in years past, we'd seen Alabama come out in these initial drives, 3 and out, kind of series that we had gotten used to in the previous 2006 and prior. So to see them come out like this and be, as effective as they were, just kind of gave you a breath of fresh air.
Just like I guess like a change of pace is what was cool about this team.
You see Mark Ingram out on the field there for Alabama
Yeah.
and blocking.
I
As a
think they were
freshman to come in on a
well-balanced, too.
block in that situation shows a little bit of confidence there from the coaching staff.
What really got this going is you're talking about this drive and everything is, they're so well balanced. They had the offensive line that could push you off the ball, but you also had the weapons outside like Julio. I mean, this being really the first time we saw him, but he, immediately drew the attention of a double team.
So you had Julio. Is that Mike McCoy?
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
Mike McCoy.
Yeah, McCoy.
Yeah, the wide receiver crew. For this being his second year, he had a pretty good wide receiver crew out there.
Yeah, you had Marquise Mays out there. He was a sophomore.
Oh, yeah.
And what got me just a second ago was showing Travis McCall how large of a human being he was.
Now, Darius Hanks was on this too, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, I don't think Darius has made his appearance yet in the game, however.
Right.
Huge hole right there. Closed up, but it was very well blocked.
Brent, Ricky Sapp, as you can see, back on the field, working on his lower leg over here on the sideline. He ran up and down, said he's okay. Again, back in the game.
Bowden's time at Clemson was quite an interesting story. This was really the beginning of the end for him. I mean, from all accounts, this game right here and this loss for Clemson was the beginning of the
Deal
end.
breaker.
Yep.
Yeah.
And little did we know what would turn out with Dabo Swinney coming in, what that would turn into eventually for Clemson. What a catch.
What a
I think
catch.
it's a flag, though. Yeah.
Yeah, Mays.
Man, Mays brought the energy, didn't he?
Oh,
Yeah.
he was great.
Yes.
Yes, he was.
One thing that occurred to me as I've looked back at some of these games recently, Thomas Ritter and some of these guys have been in the league for a long time.
Still going.
Yep. So for those of you that are watching this and you may not recall, John Parker Wilson, a product of Hoover High School, had a brother that followed him up there at Alabama who played baseball for the Crimson Tide.
If his leg moves or if the ball he's leaning. See him how he's kind of starting to, but that was so slight. Shocked that they were able to pick up on
I think he was an underrated quarterback. I think he had a couple more years with Saban. really think he would have done
I
really
agree.
well.
I agree.
I
I
do
think he did
too.
his job well. I think his arm was good enough to lead and not be the quote game manager, even though
Right.
he was very well versed at that. You know, he was one of those guys that you could depend on if you needed to a drive at the end of the game.
Here's Tiffin.
Lee
This is
Tiffin,
Lee Tiffin coming in for the 54-yard field goal attempt for Alabama.
son of the Alabama legend Van Tiffin, who kicked many
And
important
that
field
right
goals for
there,
Alabama.
that make was like I remember looking at the guys that I was watching this game with at the time. Were like, did he just make a 54-yard field goal?
Right.
Line drive.
Yeah. Oh, you saw
Greg
the a glimpse of Greg McElroy there just a moment ago.
Yeah.
Oh my! Look, and a younger Nick Saban for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, much younger.
I bet you most of these Alabama fans that these young ladies here are all probably married with children by now.
There's Joe Pentry.
Joe Pendry was and still is probably one of Nick Saban's closest confidants. I mean, they are very tight.
Yeah, he hung out in the athletic department well after he stepped down from the line coaching.
This is, and don't forget, this is Jim McElwain's debut as the offensive coordinator for Alabama.
That's right.
In the offseason, Major Applewhite was reassigned. I think that's probably the nicest way to put it. He ended up at Texas, but I think that's one of those times where Saban's like, we love you, appreciate you. You're welcome to find somewhere else to go.
And what's funny about Applewhite is he's now the head coach for for USA, South Alabama,
That's
where Womack, who is now Kalen DeBoer's defensive coordinator, is from.
You know, that name is gonna be a problem for a lot of Alabamians. I've heard people Womack, but when I heard him the other day, he said Womack, and it kind of threw me off a little bit that he actually goes. The pronunciation of his last name is Womack. Am I the only person that heard that?
No, I think that
right.
was everyone when they saw the name on the news. They were like, "Oh, it's Womack," and then when
I know I was that way.
Yeah.
And I live here, and he's been the coach here in Mobile for a couple of 3 years now, and I didn't know how to pronounce it myself.
Rashad Johnson. Man, love me some Rashad Johnson.
Oh yeah.
Now Rashad was a walk-on, correct?
Well, that's a good question. I gotta we'll have to jump into the Google machine and to verify that. I see Kareem Jackson out there, by the way.
So how about this, guys? We got down the DBs right here: Corey Reamer, Javier Arenas, Kareem Jackson, Rashad Johnson, and Justin Woodall. Think about the talent that's sitting back there in the backfield. Right
Oh,
now.
gnarly.
And you know Justin Woodall, you just mentioned that name. Mm-hmm. And okay, do y'all know the story behind this carry here? So here's a story that I want to point out that a lot of people may forget. So Bowden had promised this freshman that just came in the game a carry, one of the first carries in the ballgame. If you remember, he was the number one running back recruit in the nation coming into this season. And so Bowden, if he committed to Clemson and came to Clemson, he would guarantee him a carry in the opening moment of the game. And guess what he did on that opening carry?
He fumbled.
He fumbled it.
Fumbled the ball.
Start the freshman and pay a price.
Start the freshman and pay a price. Yep.
Yeah.
Allows the true freshman to come in, and even though you have Spiller and Davis, the experienced backs, he just wants to give him that chance to show.
Oh, my pop's watching this going, and he was a number one recruit.
His first hit of his college career. The ball comes out, and look who covers it. Another true freshman from Alabama, Dante Hightower.
Dante Hightower.
Man,
what a playmaker.
The names that are coming out of this roster right now is just
incredible time for Alabama football.
The play is under further review.
You think about the D line of Chapman and Darius. It's just Darius is a freshman. Don't know that he plays this game, but
We'll move ahead here so we don't have to watch for the review here. Corey Reamer, you just talked about him a few moments ago.
Corey Reamer was solid.
yeah,
I thought he played.
in my opinion, I think he was underrated.
Well, the 2009 season, when Dante Hightower went down, I mean, Corey Reamer kept us in business. You guys got to realize that, I'm sure. Once again, working that left side of the line. You know, something about Marquise Mays that I always appreciated for his size, he was not afraid to get in there and block. I mean,
Not at all.
No, Matt, you never had to question Mays' effort in the game.
He was like
there
anywhere I
is
can-
83. That is was that McCall? Who was that on 83? Who was 83?
I believe it was McCall. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I was saying earlier. It's just a large.
Look at that. That's a great pass. It's John
Great
Parker
pass
Wilson.
and
He's really
another
good.
tight end coming up to make a play for Alabama.
Yep.
I want you to take a look. When you effectively run the football, what is going to happen when linebackers start to see the run? They're going to come up, and they're going to get confused. Look at the linebackers
Look at
looking around. They don't know whether to come up, to drop back.
Wide open.
Because Alabama's effectively controlling the line of scrimmage, it's opening up their play-action game.
1st and 10, and they can pick up a first down, as you can see, without scoring a touchdown as they pound straight ahead with Coffee. The young man calling the plays upstairs, Jim McElwain, who is their new offensive coordinator, he grew up in Missoula, Montana. He attended Sentinel High School, and he was all set to go to the university there and play quarterback for the Grizzlies, but they underwent a coaching change, and one of the assistant coaches went over to Eastern Washington, where McElwain had an outstanding career. And
Think about the career McElwain's had since this. How many places he's been to, big name places, and
Let's see. After
Baller name
Alabama, he ended up at Colorado State as the coach,
Right.
correct?
Mhm.
Yes.
And then Florida.
Yep.
Yep. And now
There's that toss play with Ingram. You see
Yeah,
the
he's
guy to the left of McElwain sitting in there in the booth?
Burton Byrne
Yep, Burton Burns.
was an excellent running back coach.
Exactly. Yes.
yeah, McElwain
Our
is
buddy
now
Classy just
Central
reminded me
Michigan.
that the brother John Parker Wilson, Ross Wilson, who also played quarterback at Hoover High School, was part of the Two-A-Days TV show.
Oh yeah.
So this is one thing. If we're gonna nitpick about stuff, this is one of the things that McElwain did a little bit more than what we had seen in the past of getting inside the,
Getting
10,
inside the red
5
zone?
yard, and then we're gonna
Throw.
sit here and we're gonna pass the ball 3rd and 3
Yep.
there.
Yep.
But we always had reliable tipping.
Jonathan,
Yeah.
reminder of where Lee Tiffin's from?
I think he's up around the Shoals area of Alabama, if I'm. But I know his daddy originally was in Red Bay, Alabama. If you ever been to Red Bay, it's a pretty small place.
And his dad talk about some field goals he made. He made one that sticks out is that one against Auburn.
Yeah, Van Tiffin,
remember the
85
year.
Iron Bowl.
That's right, 85. Yep.
I was just a little bitty boy at that point in time, but I remember it very vividly.
Me and you may be the only ones, Jonathan, that were around for that.
Maybe so.
I was not, unfortunately.
Neither.
What year was it?
1985.
I was a year away.
I was 9 years away.
Boy.
Oh, there's Mark Barron.
Yes. What a hit. What a hit.
And how amazing that under Nick Saban, guys coming on special teams like that, and the first impact they make is in something like that, and what a career he ended up happening at Alabama.
Yep. Yes, he did.
Good form on the tackle too.
That's what I was about to say. Most of these hits back then would be targeting now, but that right there was a pretty clean hit.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
And you
Led
got
with that
Upchurch in
shoulder.
there. You see Upchurch in there. I think that's who it was, number 5.
Big Mount Cody coming in.
Yes.
Oh man.
Cody.
I mean, if you think about it, think about all the new faces that have done something this game already.
Already.
Yep.
Yep. I think, I was just say, I think,
My
yeah.
boy,
So this
Terrence
was his first
Cody.
game, but he was coming in from the JUCO.
You got Dedrick over there on the right-hand side of the defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're getting in the backfield like that.
Oh, it's somebody we haven't talked about. Bobby Greenwood, number 93.
Bobby Greenwood, that's right.
Yeah. Man, that's what I love about this is there's a lot of names that, they gave a lot of their time and effort and sacrifice to Alabama, and I like the fact that we get to talk about them just a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Greenwood was at Alabama 2006-07, and this was his senior season at Alabama. Ended up with 19 solo tackles in this season. Forced one fumble.
Saban's pissed, and they just got him off the field on 4th down. I'm gonna miss that. Never happy.
The faces on the sidelines, some of the staff that you see on the sidelines, those faces would change throughout the years that Saban was at Alabama, but there's some familiarity of some of those faces that I just saw on the sidelines.
I think at this point, this right here, this team is starting to find out how they can impose their will. And what Saban said, when he came in, we want them to hate playing Alabama, right? We don't want them,
right.
And so I think this team right here, with that last drive, that stop right there, now they're starting to impose their will. If I'm not mistaken, right now, I believe we're really gonna pound the ball down here, and we're gonna come in with another score. So.
Yeah, they had the procedure penalty here. Did Clemson? So Javier Arenas had a good run back, and then you add 5 more yards on top of that. Gives Alabama a good field position here.
Yeah, you're at the 50-yard line, basically.
Yep. And, I mean, you guys can give me your opinions or not, but I would probably put Javier Arenas second behind David Palmer as probably the best returners that I've seen at Bama.
Hard to argue with that.
Hard to argue with that, yep.
Javier was a stud.
He was. It's hard to touch the deuce though, but I think he was right up there with him.
Yeah.
You have Jalen Waddle right behind him.
Right. Yeah.
It's the first appearance for Grant here in the ball game.
Terry Grant. Something really cool is I went to high school with a couple of his nephews. One of his nephews was drafted to the Atlanta Falcons at the UCF. So when I found out that their uncle or somebody played Terry Grant, pretty cool.
Awesome.
He was the workhorse, 2007, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was some Jonathan trivia at one point.
Yep.
The
Good completion there
carry.
to McCoy because you saw the pressure coming in the backside
Yeah.
for John Parker Wilson. You know, knowing your timing and the routes, really key on that play.
And this right here is where we flip the script now. 2 tight ends, and we start pounding the rock.
Boy, Ingram
Look at
running
that Mark
hard.
Ingram.
The
Wow.
introducing the real Mark Ingram.
He gets up. He lets him hear about it too, man. It helps to have Julio Jones out there on that blocking as well, too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
100%. Antoine Caldwell.
Look at that. Toss
Look at that.
play.
Goodness gracious. Heisman run has started.
Is that one of you two? Is that one of you folks?
There
And
he
at
goes.
this point, I mean, they're just, like you said, they're just imposing their will on this Clemson defensive line.
Yep, you have. I think that was a rush for 20-something yards in those 2 carries right there, and you've got them on their heels now. And so this is kind of the point right now. I think, Saban gets on the headset and says, "Don't stop us working."
Look at that total yards, 103-1.
Ran it down their throat.
Yeah, good run, good tough
And
run.
This type of offense, wear a defensive down quick.
And the fresh legs, the ability to go back and forth between Ingram and Coffee here, or, in this game already is becoming evident.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
How many of these plays have been runs on this drive? Pretty much every one, right?
The first one was a pass to McCoy, but after that it was, it's been a run every time. And like what he's saying right there is most of them's been to the left, but you had that one gash to the right. But
I love that statement there. He says it feels like it's 20-0.
mm-hmm. Man,
Just
tough
punishing
run.
runs.
Yeah. And they just kept throwing them at you, too. They just kept throwing the running backs at you. Like you said a while ago, you bring in fresh legs. I mean, goodness. Yeah, I mean, in that backfield alone, you had Coffee, Grant, Upchurch, Ingram. Upchurch really didn't get the carries till mid-year, I think, or end of the game there.
A John Parker quarterback sneak was the first touchdown of the year.
Bread and butter, by the way, for Alabama. John Parker Wilson, that quarterback sneak.
When he popped up at LSU and did the whole call. Yeah.
My favorite one was at the end of the game. I was in the stands, and everybody was screaming, "Put your hands in the air," for the refs because, he'd snuck it in to win the game.
What do you think O'Bowden was thinking at this point? Wasn't seeing this coming.
No,
I don't think so.
I think he was seeing his way out the door already in his mind.
Yeah, I think right here he's saying if we don't score and more than likely need a touchdown at this point, if we don't score pretty quick, then it's going to be a long day.
Yeah, it just a little bit of a spoiler here for those that may not remember. Alabama held Clemson to net 0 yards rushing during this game.
Wow.
Yep.
Just curious, what did Clemson? What did they finish this year after this game?
They were unranked. Wait, what are you asking, Jay Witt? I'm sorry.
What was their
Like
final
their-
record at the end of the 2008 season?
Oh, I believe it was I want to say 6-6, but I might be wrong.
It was let's see. I thought that was it, but it wasn't.
Better start. Remember, they are playing at least 10 freshmen tonight, and all the coaching staff was very worried. I mean, they're going
10
They
freshmen.
finished 6-6 and won their bowl game. It was 7-6 final.
By
Excuse
the
me.
way, do you
They
know
lost
who
their
the
bowl
wide
game.
receiver? You know who the wide receiver coach for Clemson was this night, right?
It was Dabo, wasn't it?
Sure was.
No.
Yeah, they were flustered so bad.
But yes, they lost their bowl game that year to Nebraska
There he is.
in the Gator Bowl. Yeah, there's Dabo.
And that number 83 there, Nelson, I think it's Farber. He's a politician nowadays, but you could just see right there it was unraveling like crazy at this point.
Mm-hmm.
This was a pretty key moment. And you saw the coach, yank Farber by the jersey there.
Kind of a cool thing is this was Kirby Smart's first season as the defensive coordinator. It was the second season there at Alabama with Nick. But the other head defensive coach was his title, was Kevin Steele, who
That's right.
was at Alabama this past season at Saban's
And they
last.
were very much in this 2008 season. Both Steele and Smart were very much involved in the game planning.
Yes.
Now was that Luther Davis or Fanny that just made that tackle?
Let me go back and look.
I think it was it 90.
What a run.
Mm.
Goodness gracious! You don't have to, Jonathan. I just
They desperately needed that play.
Yeah.
really did.
Yes. And what a throw and run it was.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very familiar looking route for Alabama fans,
Yes.
though.
It is. Yep, you get that linebacker guessing, looking and peeking in the backfield.
When you consider that Clemson ended this game with only 188 yards of offense, that accounted for a lot of their offense.
Yeah.
Was that Rolando that just to give up that pass?
So it'd be easy to blame him on that, but I don't think it was necessarily his
You
issue.
don't think it was his area?
No. John Parker Wilson set his career completions mark in the second quarter of this game coming up. He bypassed Brody Kroll. If you remember, Brody Kroll had 488 completions in his career at Alabama.
Yeah.
And so in this second quarter, he'll bypass that.
Mm.
And Tommy Bowden did not coach another football game after this season. He
That was
hung
it.
it up.
Yep.
Saban.
How many
Send him
times
to
have we saw that
retirement.
with? How many times have we saw Saban do that to a coach?
I say Saban, send him to retirement.
Sabanized. They Sabanized him.
Who is that?
Oh,
Dante was in the backfield.
Just
The Hightower was something else.
mm-hmm.
Man, what
so
about
think
that
about
combo?
we talked about this a few moments ago, but think of the first time players who made their debut in this game: Julio Jones, Mark Ingram, B.J. Scott, Marquise Mays, Chris Jackson, Dante Hightower, Chris Jordan, Terrence Cody, Mark Barron, Chris Underwood, Marcel Darius, and Robbie Green. 12 players for Alabama made their debut in this game.
Yeah, some of the best players in the history of this program, in my opinion.
Look at that. Good gracious.
Goodness.
Wow. Look at Kirby.
This defensive line is special.
When you think about
the defense itself was special, but the defensive line right here is probably on this roster is probably one of the most talented that we've ever had.
Well, and think about the coaching staff for defense, because obviously we know Saban's defense. So you got Saban, you've got Kirby Smart, and you've got Kevin Steele. All I mean, what a cocktail of defensive minds.
Brandon Dedrick, that made that last sack. 6'4", 232 at this point.
Moved like a ballerina.
Yep. Came from Elizabethtown, Kentucky. Well, they got him 287 right there. Wow.
Oh, man.
3rd and 22. There ain't many plays in the playbook for 3rd and 22.
No.
And when you watch this game back and you think about what really happens with Clemson, Bowden's departure, Dabo Swinney becoming the coach, Kevin Steele leaves after this season to go to Clemson to be their defensive coordinator, and then the rise of Clemson with Dabo Swinney. What a turnaround!
Yep.
One of the only negative things I'll say about the time of Nick Saban at Alabama, everybody seemed to make their field goals against us. Did anybody else feel that way?
Yeah. And for a long time, it seemed like, after Lee Tiffin, for a while, we couldn't get our kicker ourselves to get one that was any decency.
We went from, what was it? From Tiffin to, was it Shelley?
Yeah, it's Jeremy Shelley.
Yeah. Money.
And then
Christensen. Christensen.
Yeah, and then we end Saban's career at Alabama with the leading scorer in NCAA history with Will Reichard. So kind of came full circle.
Right. Yeah.
JPW. Some animals on this team.
Or was that later on?
What's that, Richie?
Adam Griffith. We had him, but that was later on, right?
That was 2015.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
I remember watching the documentary during Christmas time last year of his dad and him getting the coaching job at Clemson, and I remembered going, oh, man, does he have what it takes to be like his dad? And, boy, I was shocked.
Who are you talking about, Richie?
I was talking about Bowden.
Oh, yeah. Right.
So they did like an ACC special on like a couple of colleges. They did like Virginia Tech on that guy over there. They did Clemson.
Wow, what a play.
Him getting hired. And I was just like, oh, man, because his dad was that big deal at Florida State. And I was like, I wonder if he learned from his dad and was able to keep the tradition going. And, boy, I was shocked.
Yeah, Tommy Bowden certainly was not Bobby Bowden. That is for sure.
Not at all. He was a weird hire too. When I heard his name as the hire, I was like, "Oh man."
Greg,
Move a little bit ahead.
Young,
His name
There's
is-
Greg McElroy.
Baby Greg.
South Lake, Texas.
South Lake Carroll, man, very powerful program in the state of Texas, 5A football.
A lot of
Back in the
wealth
day,
down there,
at
too.
6A. Yeah, sure is. If you remember his dad with the Dallas Cowboys and the executive offices of the Dallas Cowboys.
Look at
I can't look at Brent Musburger and not remember his comments about A.J. McCarron's bride.
girlfriend.
Oh yeah, during the championship.
That to me, I don't know. It didn't seem that egregious the way they made it out. I mean,
No, they made a much bigger deal out of it than
much bigger deal than I think they needed to make out of it.
Was that just like a cut block from the line there? It looked like everybody just cut and went. Maybe so, because it was a quick pass there.
Yeah.
Julio standing there just makes you realize how massive of a human being that is.
He's got to be. I can't think of a taller wide receiver
He's
that we've had.
6'4". He's 6'4", so
Yeah.
That one that's come in this year, he's 6'5", who reclassified or is being made as a wide receiver now. Can't remember his name for the life of me now.
You know, that right there was one of the we said something about it earlier about the John Parker's quarterback sneaks and the little quick runs and stuff like that and all, but that was kind of a it was a kind of a big part of him. He with the baseball, he could move. He was an athlete.
Yep.
He wasn't just a pocket passer like that. No, he could really get out and do what he needed to do.
Like we were saying earlier, Steven, he's just underrated. I think if he had maybe 1 or 2 more years.
Yeah. It's just a product of when he came through the system.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
it's interesting seeing some of even the names from Clemson, like Daquan Bowers. Daquan is as a defensive coach now with Clemson. He's on their defensive staff.
Can't get over how young Nick Saban looks there.
I know.
I don't know if it's the age or if it's the stress.
Alabama, let's say Alabama, sure. He aged it. Alabama aged him. Do you guys think that if Saban had went anywhere else, would he have had the same? I just feel like there's something about Alabama that was what it already was that was able to bring a little bit of magic that helped Saban. That might be reaching.
I'll say this. I think Alabama, was a big part of it, but I think the way that Saban built a program, the relentless that he showed on the recruiting trail, the staffs that he always was able to get, even at LSU, if you look at his staff at LSU, he had an all-star staff.
Yes.
I think anywhere he went, he was going to be successful. But coming to a place like Alabama definitely, helped him probably do it as quicker than he could have maybe at some other places. But you put Saban anywhere, he's going to have success.
But what I think about
that's going to be the age-old debate, right? The Jay-Witt, like you're going to hear people say, well, he could have done what he did at Alabama anywhere, right? You're going to hear that. But I'm like you. I think Alabama at this point in time when he came to Alabama was in the perfect place for him to come in and set up the program the way he wanted, and that was the key. He came in from day one and said, this is going to be done my way. Or I'm not going to be here. And he was dead serious. I mean, he said that right off. We're going to do things my way, the right way, or I'm not going to be here, and you're not going to want me to be here.
And another thing, I think Saban was already like that when he was at LSU, and you could see that in him winning a championship. I think that going to Miami and to the NFL and realizing that he did not have that same kind of it's all up to him. He had all the decision making. I think that he obviously, as we know, didn't like that. That's why he didn't stay in the NFL. Didn't like it. And I think that when he came to Alabama, he was in a mindset of, I left LSU, I left a good spot, and I want to get back to that. And so I think that I always think that what if he hadn't have went to Miami? He could have stayed at LSU the rest of his career, and who knows how many championships he could have had there if he had kept it up.
Mark Ingram's just taking over.
Yeah, it really is. It's just. But again, when you've got that offensive line in front of you, it as a freshman running back, right? Your very first collegiate game, you couldn't ask for a better situation to be put in.
No, yeah. That's what you think about it. A freshman, a first game in college, and you just come in and it looks like you've been there for 3 or 4 seasons.
Yeah.
I apologize, guys. I'm freezing up, so sorry about that.
You're good.
Look at that. What a pass.
Now, that was Nick Walker, right? Yeah, that's Nick Walker making that reception. And I'm not sure between him and Travis McCall which was my favorite of those two. I liked both of them. I think Nick Walker had the better statistical season receiving-wise, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I got to hear this. That season he had 32 receptions for 324 yards, so that's a little over 10 average. And we're on the other hand, where you have McCall that was really more of a blocking end of the line blocker, inline blocker. Sorry.
And this was the last year for both McCall and Walker, and then the next year Michael Williams, came in and kind of took over a lot of the tight end receiving.
Preston Dial.
Preston Dial, you're exactly right.
Then you had Brad Smelly and things like that.
Oh, and don't forget about Colin Peak. I almost forgot about Colin Peak.
I don't think he was on this team.
No, I don't think he was on this roster yet.
I think he's coming in, the next year?
Yeah, for Georgia Tech.
Yep.
That would be a fun guy to interview one day, to be able to talk to Colin Peak.
But as far as your combo tight end, having one solid blocker like McCall was, and then having your pass catcher like Nick Walker was, that combination is right up there as far as your combinations of tight ends in the Saban era.
Did y'all catch Star Jackson there on the sidelines just a moment ago?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He was also Scott Cochran, the strength and conditioning coach, young.
Yeah. Boy, that coming in. So my dad passes away in March of 2009, and going into that spring, it was all about the battle between Greg McElroy and Star Jackson. I guess we all know how that turned out.
Yes.
Hey, Star Jackson was supposed to be that guy.
Yeah.
Kind of like Philip Sims later on,
You got a name like Star Jackson.
Yeah.
What a play.
Yep.
Pressure in his face.
I've liked Greg JPW. I've liked him being a part of the commentary team at times for Alabama.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he did a great job. I'm not really sure why he stepped down. I think.
So is it Tyler Watts back again? Is it Tyler Watts back in that spot?
Yep, Tyler Watts. Oh, step up.
See, what a move. What a play.
So I'm saying
look at him. Look at him after he gets brought down, just staring down at 97. Stared at him then.
He had some swag about him for sure.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
John Parker Wilson definitely had some swag about him.
Good. Ooh.
Good little move.
Yeah.
I'm sure Saban, Shula and the offenses prior to Saban's arrival, John Parker ran a bit more than he did when under Saban. And I got to imagine Saban is a little bit leery about JP running the ball just for the sake of, injury problems. And
Yeah.
But you can tell right now that the JP is not. He's saying, let's go.
that tackle, that hip drop kind of tackle is, they're talking about banning that in the NFL now.
I think we're getting to a point where we're going to play flag football. I do like the kickoff rule that they're kind of looking at though with what the XFL did last year.
Yeah.
I think it's I think that'll be a welcome change. Right now, it's just really
Look at that head of hair, man.
yeah.
Nick Saban, that full head of hair, just glistening.
Before he started dying it.
I always wondered, how much do you think he dyed his hair at Alabama?
I think he was definitely dying it there at the end.
Oh yeah, because I would see Nick Saban. He'd have that gray going on a little bit, and then next time you saw him, it was just all gone. He was
dying it. He had Miss Terry doing that for him.
Yeah, I was going to ask, was it Miss Terry doing the dye job?
I think so.
So it was a
little touch of gray.
It was they had a story about him at one point, and they said he went and got a haircut every single week.
Wow.
And, same time, same place.
Things sound so like Saban.
Yeah, it's just routine. So
I
want
to know his secrets why he could get up and eat 2 Debbie cakes and
and not gain weight
like it does me.
Oh yeah, the Debbie cakes he's talking about on
Sometimes he said he'd have more than 2. So
yeah.
If I look at Debbie cakes too hard, I'll gain weight.
What I love about his routine was he would get up in the morning, and the first coffee he drank was the coffee from the day before. If you remember, he would heat that coffee up in the microwave, drink that while the new pot of coffee was going on, right? Like, this dude just every day.
Someone needs to teach him that there's a timer you can set. It'll make your coffee before you get up. Or a Keurig.
I don't think he's the only one that struggles with that. I think even this day I struggle with reminding myself to set the timer.
I got sort of a off question, but when did the review? What year did the review start?
Well, that's a good question.
That's a good question. Yeah, it was already going on at this point. 2004 is when the Big Ten started with reviews.
Okay. Yeah.
We would see that play to the tight end multiple times during the course of this season.
And that was Walker again, wasn't it?
Yep.
That right there is the same. I think that's the same play that they ran with the line Coffee up there later on in the year at the Auburn game, right?
Well, no, that was 2009 when they
okay.
did that.
That's right, because McElroy threw it, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, sure did.
Yep.
That'll be a good one for us to watch in the future.
Yes.
Especially that last drive.
Man.
All right. Well, let's move ahead a little bit in the coverage, as they say. We'll go ahead just a little bit. Oh, look at that familiar face. Does anybody know who that was?
That was Dennis Franchione.
Yeah, it sure was.
And this year, if I'm not mistaken, John, I think I've got this, that the Iron Bowl this year, we sent Tommy Tuberville finally into retirement, or excuse me, out of Auburn.
Yes, that's correct. This 2009 season was what's his name's first season, right?
Gene Chizik.
Yeah, Gene. Jay Witt and I were talking about Trooper Taylor and that bunch down there at Auburn and some of the hijinks that they were utilizing in the recruiting trail at that point in time. If y'all remember the Big Cat Weekend.
A lot of limo rides.
Sure was.
There is Brad Scott kneeling down, talking to the lineman over there. Lambert, Humphreys, Austin, Grant, and Harris. That they have got to put together great. This is going to be a long, long night. Inside handoff to Grant.
Did it ever bother you guys a little bit in times where Nick Saban would kind of take his foot off the gas a little bit? Was that ever something that bothered you guys early in Saban's career at Alabama?
Well, we had a lot of anger to take out on people, John. I mean, from all the years past of what we had to deal with, we wanted to beat them. But, it did bother me at times, but, I understand it.
Was that the Upchurch? Yeah, that was the Upchurch.
Yep.
Yeah.
Old Georgia Dome.
Look at that!
What
Look at
about
that drive chart there. That's nice.
Yeah.
Ending every drive with a kick. That's how you do it.
The amount of money I'd pay to go back to this time.
Just to be able to be there.
Yes.
Yeah, I hear you. I wish I would have gone to this one.
Or relive it all again. All these years of Saban.
Yep.
Do it again. We're lucky to have been through it and lived through it.
I've tried to instill that in my children. They've, especially my oldest too, because they've got to witness most of it. All of it, really. I hope that they never take it for granted what we got to witness.
52
All right, 52-yard
yards.
attempt here.
Then
Just a little outside.
He had the length. Just
It's no good.
Will Riker would have made it. No.
Ford, man. Ford was an excellent athlete for Clemson at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Was that Mike Ford, if I remember correctly?
It is.
I think so, yeah. Oh, good pass. I think it was a good pass. Goodness.
There's Farber. He's, like I said, he's a politician nowadays.
If you just look at the defense, how much bigger bodied our defense was, and how they had to transform over the years of
The body type.
Yep. I mean, that defensive line is huge.
You got to feel like this right here, this play. That is a must get right there.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Absolutely. Right here before the half.
Yeah, and just to you think at this point you're thinking, well, hey, if we could burn just a little bit more clock.
Buffer.
Yeah, I've never seen it buffer like this before.
Yeah, he had a number of
Boston
losses.
College.
Here it is. Man.
Speaking of Aaron Kelly, gained over 1,000 yards coming back. Marietta, Georgia. And that's his first reception of the night.
As bad as this is, Brent, you just touched on it, and you and I are thinking alike, and I'm sure Tommy Bowden's thinking about this. Still 2 minutes to go.
You got to think that they're. I mean, they got to feel like it's a must score right here just to get it within 10 before half with how the game's going.
Absolutely.
You know, they run the little screen, and they do it so well. Clemson still does it.
Aaron Kelly's an interesting guy because he's 6'5", about 190 pounds, and usually when you see a tall receiver, they're more of a straight line down the field, throw it up in the air, let him go up and make a catch. With Aaron Kelly, he's got a little bit of action after he makes a catch. He's got some explosive.
I mean, what a critical drive here for any team down 17 at this point.
Oh, yeah.
In the first game of the year, ranked in the top 10 against a 24th ranked team.
There was Woodall.
He was doing what he does.
What an animal.
Goodness.
Yeah, Woodall would bring
Look at
the
that
list.
fan's
Oh,
face.
yeah.
Oh, that's poetic, isn't it? Pumps to the outside.
Mm-hmm.
It just did not do anything with Woodall. Didn't phase him, whatever. Look at McLean there trying to sky up.
Yep.
Man, how many Clemson players went down the
Injuries,
first time?
yeah, several. Boy, look at those names of running backs there in 2008. On the other side of the conference, though, was Florida. Tim Tebow would be the starting quarterback for Florida here in the 2008 season, right?
Yep.
Their loss to Ole Miss would really change the
Look at that.
Oh, who's that?
Marquise Jones.
Is that Marquise? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that
Drive killer.
lost to Ole Miss and the speech in the locker room.
There was really no way you were beating them after that.
No.
This was a very well done job here. Just, I mean, wow.
Rolando McClain was such an intelligent football player.
Yep.
It was.
He had some of the best instincts.
This was his sophomore year.
Yeah. Look at that. Brent's copying us.
I think we know kind of Saban's mentality here in these situations was, you know, what do you get on that on the first down, right? Kind of would dictate what he would do with the time remaining.
Well, you were asking me earlier, Jonathan, about not running the score up. This is something that drove a lot of Alabama fans crazy throughout the years. When you had time on the clock and he would run it out,
or had
sometimes
timeouts. We used to have a running joke that he had some deal with Terry about taking timeouts home.
Yeah.
Man, Nick Walker was a weapon.
But you can kind of tell here they're still pushing right here. 17 points.
Yeah, this was a statement. This was a statement game.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I tell you what, big Caldwell. Is it Caldwell the center?
Yep. I believe so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Antoine Caldwell.
And he was so good.
He was so good.
Look at that.
Beautiful pass.
That's one
Didn't
thing
have
Roy
to be
Upchurch.
flashy. It's just effective, right?
Yeah,
But
Upchurch
I
was
think it's-
always good out of the backfield catching the passes. He was.
So right there is what I was telling y'all about. That was when he
Yep.
bypassed Brody Corl's completion record.
There he goes.
So good.
Oh.
So athletic. So athletic.
Oh.
That's fun, man. That's fun. And we've had, you think about under the Saban years at Saban, the run quarterbacks that could run, and certainly we had quarterbacks that were capable runners than that. But I mean, that was plenty.
I think honestly the best. I'm trying to think. I mean, Jalen Hurts, of course.
Yeah.
But I think Jalen Milroe is just as athletic as Hurts is in terms
Blake
of.
Sims, maybe?
Blake Sims was good.
Look at that.
Oh, perfect timing right there.
Perfect.
Perfect.
That's one play that I love the screen pass, especially when a defense is being very aggressive.
Aggressive, yeah.
Now we used to do that a lot.
Did it seem like to you we got away from that over the last few seasons?
For sure. Yeah, we didn't run it.
I guess the most famous screen pass is the one down in Baton Rouge.
Yep.
Make a man miss.
Yep.
There's the Brent Musburger before he got a crush on AJ's girl.
Yes, we were talking about earlier.
I like.
I was saying,
his voice was. I always liked
Yeah.
Musburger. So.
like I was saying earlier, Jay Witt, what he ended up saying, I don't really see what they made a way bigger deal out of that than what needed to be. I think.
Oh, I totally agree.
What a play.
Didn't I hear you're going to call the final timeout? I know they're going to try to snap it. That's right.
I got a question at halftime, John.
All right. Boy, just the tight end, the effectiveness of the tight ends is just.
Look at the coverage out there, too. There's four
It's
guys
refreshing to see that. It's just. There's B.J. Scott. B.J. Scott tried to play wide receiver at Alabama. He ended up having to convert to defensive back. Played 2 years at Alabama in the defensive back position.
He was number one, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
He was highly regarded coming into Alabama.
From Viger, Alabama.
In fact, that was him who was responsible for the penalty there. He was covered up on the line of scrimmage.
Hey, guys, he's telling Saban to get back. That won't happen.
By saying Saban was giving him the finger.
Yeah, he was like, yeah.
Not that finger, but the finger.
What a beautiful
Right
pass.
again.
Oh,
Out of bounds.
oh, man.
So we settle for 3 here. But still, I mean, what a first half.
Yes. Statement first half, start the season. On both sides of the ball.
Clemson's got a block field goal play. They might want to put it out there.
Yeah, that's the most shows, Tiffin. The other one was, I don't know.
I felt so bad for Lee Tiffin after that Arkansas game in 2006 under Shula. I really did.
Yeah, that was rough.
Let's listen to him here.
After dominating this first half.
Well, there's no score. I mean, we got to come out and play like there's no score in the game and finish. We had some games like this last year. This is a talented team. They can make a lot of plays. We got to keep the ball on offense like we did in this half. Play on the line of scrimmage. Turnovers are important, and we got 2 big ones. So we just got to keep playing.
Thanks. Lisa, over to you. Thanks, Aaron. Coach, Alabama scored just about every time they had the ball. What's giving your defense so many problems?
We're getting out here. I mean, they're tougher than we are right now. We're not very
I'd
physical.
say so.
We want to talk about being a little bit tougher. Can't tackle a little bit tougher. They're playing a little harder than we are.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, Lisa. So we'll find.
What a
That's an
telling
understatement.
statement. I mean, contrast those 2 interviews, man. You got one coach talking about how, we got to finish, that was kind of the motto there coming into this season as well. And then you're on the other side, we're just getting out physical. All right. Whit, you had a question.
All right, so does anybody remember what happens next?
On the opening kickoff?
Yeah, I think they run it back, don't they?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yes.
sure do.
I was going to see if y'all remember because Spiller gets shot out of
Out of a cannon.
Yeah.
Or feeling good, 23-3, and then all of a sudden it's like,
Yeah.
Just lightning, right?
Did they change? Or they put the jackets on?
Herb just took his glasses off. He had glasses on in the first half.
I think he had his jacket off.
man, Herb's done such a good job, but he gets so much hate.
He gets so much hate. And he does a great
you
job.
know what? He's been kind to us as a program. He's been kind to Alabama.
Definitely.
Considering he's a Ohio State alum. But to me, he really honestly is. He might be the best in the business in terms of what he does. And he gets a ton of hate, and I think that's why, because he's one of the best.
Oh, Whit. Okay, Whit, you call the play here. Let's hear it.
A Clemson player gets it at the 5. He's running at the 20. He's running at the 30. He's running at the 40. Nobody's going to catch him.
Oh, my God.
Man, that is a fast man.
He was vapor.
Somebody call Clemson. They need Jay Witt play call for him.
Yeah, we need to hire him.
Jay Witt, do you remember my kick 6 one?
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah. We did the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta, and so they had a thing where you could call legendary plays, right?
Oh
So
boy!
I called that one, and
You got to send it.
I don't think I still have it. It's like I was like, Chris Davis is running down the sidelines. He steps out of bounds. Nobody cares. They're just going to let him run.
That's great. I don't want to watch that run back again.
No, please.
No. I don't want to spoil the rest of the game there, but I believe that was it for them, wasn't it?
It was.
If I'm remembering right, that's because
You're correct.
these guys shut them down.
Julio on the return.
Did Julio
So what do you
ever
think?
return a kick? I don't think
For a
he did.
touchdown? I don't think he did.
I don't think he did either. He was more
Here's
just
the question.
So,
I got a
Jonathan,
question.
you were there, or you weren't there. You were watching the game. And
Yeah, I was
when
watching.
they
I
had that
wasn't at this one.
opening kickoff, so that the second half kickoff return, did you have any kind of deflated feeling? Did you think, "Oh my goodness, maybe that was
Well, listen,
maybe this
after
whole
you've
first
been
half"?
after you've been through the Shula years, you kind of get this. The dog that kind of gets beat on, and every time the owner comes up, he kind of looks down, cowers for a little bit. That's kind of the way we felt. Anytime something bad would happen, right? Early on in Saban's tenure, you're like, "Oh, here we go."
Well, and if you look at the 2007 schedule, the season that we had in 2007, we lost a lot of close games.
We sure did.
I mean,
we played LSU about as well as anybody that season.
Yep.
Let me ask y'all this question right there. He was talking about Julio returning kicks. Who would you rather tackle, Julio with a 10-yard run right there on a kick return, or oh man, what a hole, or Derrick Henry across the middle?
anytime you mention Derrick Henry, I'm going with the opposite.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Look at this hole, just mash. And that was a run to the right, which we did not do a ton that year.
I'll tell you one thing, Coffee had underrated speed, man.
Sure did.
Oh man. Coffee's
It's kind of an unsung hero of Alabama football to me.
yeah. Him and Upchurch both were some of those guys that were they just did their job. You know what I mean?
Vic Koenig.
Vic Koenig, you remember that guy, right?
I think he was his name got mentioned a couple times. I want to say I've heard his name in some coaching changes back when early.
Pump fake.
Oh.
Julio's from time to time would scare me. The way he would be slow to get up, you're like, uh-oh. Is he hurt? I give 18 credit. That was well done.
It was.
Five of 8 on third down.
Going for it all.
Oh. Just missed him.
Man.
Now, here's where you kind of get a little, just that feeling in your gut, like, okay, here we go. They were about to punt it back to them. You know, what are they going to do offensively?
Who was our punter this year? Was it
P.J. Fitzgerald?
Yeah.
Was it P.J. Fitzgerald?
Yeah, it was Fitzgerald.
As you see, Clemson's drive went nowhere and punted it back quickly to Alabama, 3 and out on that drive for Clemson.
Ooh.
One of the loudest moments I will ever recall was the Javier Arenas return against LSU in 2007.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Because they had a on-the-field camera view that I watched a video of, and you can just hear it from that.
Deafening.
Oh, my. It's crazy.
I wanted us to win that game so badly that day.
And I wasn't at the game, but they say the 2005 Florida game was in Bryant-Denny was.
That's the loudest I've ever heard that stadium.
That was Brody.
Yep.
Brody, Tyrone Prothrow, and then
Prothrow.
Keith Brown catching that ball and
B.J. Scott on the reception.
I don't know if y'all remember this, but Vern at the start of that game. I believe it was that year when they when he threw that pass and they scored, and then Alabama kicked off to him and said, "It's the first time Florida's been down, other than Kentucky."
Yeah, he said there are many truths in this uncertain world, but this ain't Kentucky.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite quotes ever.
Yeah,
few truths in an uncertain world, but here's one: this ain't Kentucky.
I love it. I'm glad you remembered that as well. And you got to think here from an offensive standpoint, it was going back out here to reset the line of scrimmage, right? I mean, after what is this, the way this third quarter started with the run back and not being able to move the ball in the first possession, and
you've lost
coming back here
your
and
momentum, and you
right.
Did y'all see that time of possession?
Yes. Boom. Boy, it had to feel good to convert that third down. Not Brock Bowers, but forget the Daquan Bowers coming at you.
Ooh. He had to scoop that ball from hitting that ground.
If that's me, that ball goes bouncing off the turf.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we're going to have the review, so I'm going to fast forward through this. Of course, it was upheld for Alabama.
Man, Julio was a mean-looking dude, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
Man, when you saw that video of him walking in with his team with Foley, that video, that famous video that everybody shared around, it was like, this dude's already a man, and he's not even at Alabama yet.
but I tell you, like, I like the dreads Julio. Like the dreads Julio when he was coming in, and then he went to the NFL and shaved them off.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget watching Julio's highlight tapes. That one play that they throw it up high, and he jumps up in there to get the ball, and like the corners that's guarding Julio, his helmet is like below his waistline. Y'all remember that?
Yeah.
If you remember, there was a leaked video, and I don't know if they leaked it on purpose or not. Do you remember that leaked video that came out in fall of the long pass from John Parker to Julio? Do y'all remember that?
I do.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that, and I was like, oh, wow, okay. That was one of only a few times that practice footage like that leaked out.
You think they found out who did that?
I wonder. I like that look that they just did, down the line of scrimmage.
So did John Parker play baseball the whole time he was at Bama, or did he just quit playing?
I think he quit playing baseball during his time at Alabama.
Now what about John Parker Wilson? Did he ever get on like a practice squad, or do y'all remember his NFL?
He was with the Atlanta Falcons for a number of years.
Yeah.
Okay. I just couldn't remember his after Bama with him.
Yeah. He actually, I think he mopped up a few games and stuff.
Yeah. He kept making the roster.
Yeah.
I know I'm sort of
Now you
getting off the game, but do y'all see Mac Jones rebounding and actually being able to have an NFL career?
I think Mac Jones needs a change of scenery right now. That's what he needs.
I agree.
I think he's burnt bridges. I think someone was rumored earlier in the year or early in the offseason. It was literally just a rumor, but wouldn't have been a bad idea with getting him to the Steelers.
Yeah, I saw that rumor going around earlier this week, I think.
I didn't realize they threw the ball to Nick Walker this many times this game.
Oh, yeah. I was talking a while ago. I think he had how many catches did he have?
He had 300 and something yards on the season. I know that much.
Yeah, let's see. He had 32 receptions. I bet he's got 7 or 8 of them. Well, there you go, 7 in this game. Oh, yeah.
Oh, that almost broke there.
Yeah.
Tell you what,
That
Coffee had
almost
speed.
broke.
Mark had him blowing through you.
And he had vision too, man.
Yep.
There's Nikita Stover. We hadn't seen him at all
what I
this
was
game,
about to
or
say,
at least we
man,
haven't talked
yeah.
about him, but Nikita Stover out there.
Yeah.
I like Keita.
From that overhead view right there, he kind of looked like a smaller Scarborough. Man, Ingram, for this to be his first game, man, he's being a workhorse.
Yes.
Well, what's crazy is this is the time of the game that you would expect to see Mark Ingram, but he had so much trust. The first game of the year, Mark Ingram was in there a whole lot at the beginning of this game. I mean, he was running. For him to build Nick Saban's trust like that.
And you think about even guys like Najee. I mean, Najee didn't carry the ball early in his career like that.
Yeah, we can't lose this dude.
No, man. Season's over with if we lose this dude right here. See what happens.
Man, look.
Yeah, got that ankle kind of hit. He was trying his best to stay on the field. You see him tell him to get down. Smart decision there.
He's look at that. That's,
look, there's Allen. Jeff Allen. Look
Jeff
at
Allen. Excuse me.
Golly.
Still there.
Jeff Allen looks so young there. That's crazy.
All the hair everybody's got.
And sticking
Jeff,
with
if
the
you're
board
watching
too.
this one day, we're not saying you look old now, so no offense.
Yeah.
That
Just
was
different.
one. I was so glad to hear Jeff
What a play.
Allen.
What a play. Yeah, I was so happy to see him stay as well.
Now, something we don't see a lot here in this game is the pistol formation, but that became such a big component of Alabama's offense under McElwain.
Yeah, I feel like that came with McElroy the following year.
Yeah, it sure did.
Yep.
Well, I'll tell you, he didn't have the pieces like Kirby did when he came in. But man, these guys, been looking back on this of what Nick Saban had here already. I mean, especially up front.
Yep.
Now, Mike Johnson, what was he in 2008?
Mike would have been.
Let's see, I got it right here. Mike Johnson was a junior.
Yeah.
Yep.
I knew he had been with Alabama the previous 2 years.
Yep.
Well.
Tell you what a throw and what a catch.
I love the way he would just refuse to go down, and then he would look back at him like, "You're not going to take me down."
They're just picking them apart right now.
Do we still have Blitz and Classy with us, Jonathan? Or can you see?
I don't think they're in here with us now.
Teams are going to have to load up the box
They were able to chat with us earlier.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to be in here right now, right, Jonathan?
They can come in. They just won't be on screen, but they're welcome to come in and chat with us.
The
First touchdown.
Julio Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah, that right there was like, okay. Richie, do your roll tide dance when we score.
Toss play.
Oh,
I love that way he would run in and hold the ball outstretched like that. Used to love that.
Ingram,
This was the
man.
moment where you were like, okay.
The touchdown by the freshman, the 2-point conversion by the freshman.
Yep. Wow. Take this a moment to buffer, but I want to jump ahead to this spot here in just a moment. Pretty crazy, this game, when you stop to think about it, everything that we got to witness in this first game of the season.
Oh, yeah. One of my favorite players around this era was Barrett Jones. I know you mentioned him before, Jonathan, but he was a great player.
Nick made a horrendous mistake of saying before he left that he was not going to leave for the job at the University of Alabama. I'm sure he'd love to have that statement back.
Of course, they had to bring that up, right?
He seems to enjoy it more.
And there's more to that story as to what happened.
Yeah, exactly.
The way they, Saban was not going to, and I think from what I understand, what's been told, Terry had Mal Moore over and didn't really give Saban a chance to say no.
The September 1st issue of Forbes magazine, Alabama.
Oh, I remember that. I have that actual magazine in my office.
I'm supposed to have that somewhere. I don't know if it's in a box somewhere, but I remember buying.
I have every one of those SI covers as well that Alabama had starting in 2007.
Yeah, they say closer to $5 million a year. But Alabama's football program had $54 million in revenue this last year and a profit of $32 million. And I know it's easy to say that the professors.
That'd be a bad year nowadays.
Yeah.
Business is business.
Yeah.
Business is business. They generate a whole lot. And it'll be a first down at the 36-yard line. One of his best throws tonight to Tyler Grisham.
Well, it was a gutsy throw, too. He had to go right over the top of a defensive back, and it was a close call, but he was able to squeeze it in there. Arenas usually playing corner, but with 5 defensive backs, he slides in to play over the slot. The ball went right over top of his head. And good thing he's only 5'9", and that ball would have been intercepted.
3:40 now, still left in the third quarter. Empty the backfield out. Spread the receivers wide. And watch the defensive front from Bama. They've been able to apply heat with 4 rushes. Now they blitz. And it's dropped.
Boy, that was Javier coming on the blitz, right? Yep.
Second drop of the night.
Faber has really had a really tough night. This time, Arenas coming on the blitz just to get into the face of Harper to try to slow him down. And one thing that we have seen is when the pressure has come, Colin Harper has not only not been able to settle in and step in and get a chance to complete the ball, but a lot of these receivers are not helping him out. He puts the ball there at times. And
a lot of those receivers are afraid they were going to get blasted, if you know what I mean.
100%.
Yeah.
That's where he brings the heat. This is Davis. Can't get back to the original.
Boy.
He's now bangs through for a couple of yards. Johnson bringing him down there.
That was Marquise Johnson, wasn't it?
Yeah. So when we had the interception before, you don't think about it in this game though, but Harper had better stats minus the interceptions to touchdowns and all. But as far as completions, he was 20 for 34 for 188.
Is my mic messing up?
Jay-Witt, we lost you, bud. You're not on screen right now. And your audio has changed. Chavis Williams. Now that's a name that
I forgot a name. I just don't think we'll ever be able to emulate Saban's
look at that
stoic look throughout the whole game. Up. What are we up by now? 20 something, 20 points, and here he is just looking like he's miserable walking the sidelines.
You can see that Arenas was upset that he didn't. Wow, I forgot about this. Did you guys remember that?
No, I didn't.
It's that bad so far, but remember, Nick Saban saying to us today, depth is definitely an issue. He told us, Brent, we can't afford to have anyone hurt.
Yeah, exactly. And up 31-10. He's up on his wheels.
Sorry, guys, I keep losing connection.
Serious down there as you're watching.
It's okay, you're good.
You can give the big fellas.
Tell you what, let's move forward in the coverage here. It kind of gets pretty stagnant here for a little bit. Before we go, though, tonight, I want us to watch the post-game conference with Nick Saban.
Yes.
Kelly, ball comes out, but I think after it was down, it's marked down. It'll be second down and long. We send you down to Lisa.
Well, Brent, you guys were mentioning how quiet C.J. Spiller and James Davis have both been tonight, and I asked Tommy Bowden.
I know why they're that quiet, because they haven't been able to do anything. I'd be quiet, too.
Clemson 10. Not a major shocker, but still an upset nevertheless. Clemson came in slightly favored in this game, and they have demonstrated they got a lot of work.
It's funny how Julio played this game for his first game in the Georgia Dome, where he would eventually play for the Atlanta Falcons.
Summary and a lot of things that Nick Saban wanted to do, he accomplished here, Kirk.
He's been able to
Tennessee. Still have to go to LSU, and of course on November 29th.
Went 12-0 that year in the regular season.
Sure did. Look where Auburn was ranked at the beginning of the season.
Yep. Georgia, old Mark Richt had that program.
Yep.
I've said it before that I think he's an underrated coach. I think he was what Georgia needed at that time.
That blackout game was something special.
No doubt. The whole Scott Cochran thing.
Look at the standings in this first week.
Lost 10 players to the NFL coming back this year. Mark Sanchez dislocated kneecap. What's going to happen with all the injuries?
Mark Sanchez, wow.
Don't give that score to French.
What quarter?
He'll smile.
Final. That's a final.
Arkansas State, Texas A&M.
Sunbelt flexing the muscle.
Arkansas State beating Texas A&M on this day in 2008. There we go. We got Jay Witt back with us.
No, but that one's one. And Virginia Tech losing.
East Carolina and Pitt losing.
There he is.
All right.
He's going to be offered a big time job.
I think I'm going to have to figure out how to get this on the computer.
He's getting it done.
Yeah, it'd be a more stable connection for you, I think.
Yeah.
Didn't matter Chris Johnson out there.
Chris, one of the fastest guys on the field. Remember, his last two games, he'd beaten Boise State and Hawaii, and now he upsets Virginia.
Poor Grant goes from getting the majority of the carries in 2007 to just pretty much nothing in 2008.
Love his kind of infectious, upbeat attitude that rubs off on his team.
Here's Grant bringing it.
And he had a solid year in 2007.
He sure did. He had a very good year.
11-play drive here for the Crimson Tide. They now have run 78 plays, and Clemson has run 37 plays.
Dang. Did y'all hear that stat?
Back to the drawing board.
78 plays to 37.
Like I say, a little bit of home cooking. We get that great fan base going up there. They're going to be very unhappy. This one's going to hurt for a few days. They expected to be one of the challengers, and now they just got to survive and get this offensive line back together and make another move in the ACC.
Well, the talent is there for this team to still have a great year, but emotionally, I want to see if they can turn the SEC champion.
See what we got. Echo coming from me, bud.
Echo coming from me, bud.
Underneath us. There. You see the split? Uh-huh. Guess who's not leaving?
Like that line.
79th play. Only 2 plays all night were negative for Alabama. Only 2 negative plays.
Wow, only 2 negative plays.
Well, it was interesting, you know,
Crazy
Nick
to think
Saban
about.
and the Crimson Tide went into that horrendous 4-game losing streak late. LSU came back on them.
I think Christian, we lost Christian's mic.
They then lost 4 in a row. The nightmare was Louisiana Monroe. They then couldn't get by Auburn, but they did go to the bowl game and beat Colorado.
Showing still connected, but
Yeah.
One of the best recruiting classes in the nation.
all right, 26-yard field goal. We'll do that for the scoring tonight, if I remember correctly, right, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yep, fine. 34-10.
Remember, it was Tiffin who started this with a 54-yarder. And he adds
There he is.
And that will do it for scoring. All right, let's do this now. Let's go to the end here.
How he left the Miami Dolphins. You know, he kept saying he wasn't leaving. And then
Once again, talking about
take no for an answer. And when they came down
Nick Saban Miami.
Don't they love to bring that up?
it was not taken well in South Florida. But I don't think you can blame Saban for what he did.
You and I are looking at things rationally and objectively. When it comes to evaluating Nick Saban in this conference, there's a lot of emotion involved in looking at Nick Saban. You know what I mean? So
Let's get Jay Witt back up here.
One of those things where there's a lot of jealousy in the same way when Steve Spurrier was at Florida and he had it going there in the mid-90s. It's just animosity because of being jealous of his accomplishments.
In underneath, well short of that first down. 4th down coming up here. Final seconds tick away now. It was a wonderful setting, and the fans enjoyed, at least the Clemson fans enjoyed it until the kickoff. They had a great time here in Atlanta.
Love that line.
Nick Saban and the Crimson Tide coaching staff can build on it. Look at the cameras dashing onto the field. They want to get this picture of Saban and the staff. Look at those photographers.
Okay, do you have me now, Jonathan?
Yeah, we got you. You're good.
I had to learn these. These are new. I didn't know how I muted myself.
Uh-oh. And that was the last time those two coaches would ever meet in competition.
So we'll take a break, and then we'll come back. We'll wrap it up. Alabama, a big win in their opener. They upset Clemson. 34-10 is your final score.
All right, now, give me just a second, and I want to pull up the
Press conference.
post-game press conference with Nick. Because this was an interesting. How many of you guys, do you remember this press conference?
Oh man, that was long.
Pieces of it, yes.
Not fan.
I'm lagging so bad.
All right, let's see. Present, share screen. All right, let's get
Oh,
this
yes.
up. This is epic.
Yes, I do remember this.
This is epic.
This is epic.
You know, our offensive line did a fantastic job. I think we had a really good game plan from a running game standpoint. and we were more physical than they were. Our offensive line played more physical than their front did. They're very athletic. They pass rush well. The best thing they do on defense is play loose plays. They got a good secondary. The linebackers run well, so it was a little bit the plan to run at them. We did a good job of that. We made plays in the passing game when we needed to. We had a couple other opportunities that were just misses for us that hopefully we'll be able to make some of those explosive plays in the future. You know, I would say our team played well for an opening game. Coach, was there an update on his condition? Excuse me? Did a nice job. Did a very good job receiving. Did a very good job blocking. Him and Travis both. You know, if you're going to have a good running game, you got to have two good tight ends. Those two guys did a fantastic job, and Nick made some really good catches in some critical times in the game on third down, and that was great. Third down was a big part of this game too, guys. I mean, we were pretty good on third down, and our defense did a pretty good job against them on third down. So that was great. He has a sprained knee, and I did not talk to the doctors afterwards, but I don't think it's something that's that serious, but we'll have to get a report, and we'll let you know on Monday. Well, that's what we expect him to do. You know, I mean, he's an athletic guy, and I think people get the idea because he's a great big guy that he can't move. He can move. Our big thing with him is to get him in the kind of condition where he can sustain his performance. And, you know, we had a play rotation in there tonight where he played so many plays, and then we put Josh Chapman in for so many plays, and he seemed to sustain it pretty well.
If you don't know what he's talking about right there, he's talking about Mount Cody.
At a level that he can continue to improve his game conditioning so he can play more plays. He can push the pocket and pass rush too.
It is one game, but when your defense holds, arguably.
Here comes the fun part.
I remember.
Well, it's one game. You know, confidence can screw you up. Confidence can be a good thing, but, you know, what our players need to understand, what our fans need to understand, what everybody needs to understand. It's one game. It's one game. And we need to keep playing better, and we need to improve, and our players need to have the focus to improve. And remember how they got where they got, rather than think that we can just show up now and beat whoever we play. Because we have a tendency to think that way around here, instead of just kicking people's ass like you're supposed to and working to do it. All right, so when you ask me those kind of questions, it really pisses me off. I'm not pissed off at you. All right, but that mentality that you got to work and earn it, and then we got to earn it in the next game, and we're going to have to earn it in the next game. And what we did tonight was great. We won one game. We got 11 more. We need to take them one game at a time, and we need to improve as a team. And that's what our team needs to be focused on. And if we want to be a good team, that's what we need to do. That's how everybody should think.
Golly.
We made a B on the midterm. So we're going to take a week off and get a D and have a C average, or are we going to go try to get an A?
Brilliant.
This is one
What
game.
words?
What we did in this game, this one game. That's what it counts.
That's right.
I like for our players to have confidence, but I think our players played with confidence tonight. I didn't see anybody scared out there. I didn't see any fear.
What a contrast.
The GOAT.
Now y'all scared to ask another question?
All right, got time for a couple more, guys. Right here.
What a contrast, though, between what we heard, you know, the anxiety or the fear comments, you know, the last couple seasons. But right here, I love the statement. I didn't see any fear. I didn't see any anxiety in this team. Right? They came in confident, and that's a really cool presser. I'll never forget, because it was kind of that moment for me where I was like, well, this is not just a fluke. Like, this is not going to be one of those situations where the next week and the week after that we drop a game that we're not supposed to lose, right? I forgot who we played the next week, but it was can somebody look at the schedule real quick and tell me who we played the next week?
We played Tulane.
Yeah, and if you remember, that was a tough game.
20-6 was the final.
Yeah, it was not a pretty
At
game,
home.
and I remember, like, he was frustrated after that game because they did exactly what he tried to warn them against doing, and that was, reading their own
Getting
press clippings and getting complacent. And I think that helped. That after that Tulane game, it really changed the mentality. So we played Clemson game 1, Tulane game 2, game 3 was that Georgia?
Western Kentucky.
Western Kentucky and then Georgia, right?
No, Arkansas, then Georgia.
Okay. Wow.
Yep. We went from a 20-6 win against Tulane to the 41-7 Western Kentucky, 49-14 against Arkansas, and then the 41-30 win at home against Georgia.
We'll have to watch that Arkansas game. I'm going to be honest with you because I don't
That
recall.
was at Georgia.
I don't recall a lot about the Arkansas game. That'll be a game we'll have to watch in the future because
yes,
I know it. I know what you're saying. I remember the score, but I just don't remember how that game played out. So
Arkansas was unranked, and we came into that ranked ninth. We had gotten up to ninth in the rankings.
Wow. All right, final thoughts from you guys here before we shut her down.
What a statement! First game of the season, for sure, against a team that was ranked way ahead and was thought to give us issues, that they were going to give us issues, and it didn't go that way at all.
Yeah. Steven?
Well, I think you started showing people what the Alabama standard was now. As we said, the tide has now turned. The roster has turned over. He has his guys in now. Let's go play ball and let's impose our will on people. And I think they've started doing that. So
yeah.
Yep.
Final thoughts, Richie?
This to me was one of those deals that, and I was talking to a guy about it. They weren't able to give him what he wanted at LSU, and when Bama knew he was able to come there, they were able to get him comfortable and get him under the reins and things like that. With that being said, this first game, I think this was a great wake-up call for the fans and a great, showing of, hey, this is the new standard. I'm not back on that foo-foo. I'm here to win us games. I'm here to build a legacy, get guys that want to come and want to play for the best, and that's what you saw. And, I mean, this is a great first game, and, excited for the rest of it.
Guys, there's a statement that you hear if you go to an Alabama home game. You'll hear over the press and over the speakers inside Bryant Denny, this is Alabama football. Well, this was the first time for me in a long time as an Alabama fan where when I heard that statement, it really meant something to me because before there were times where we made statements about Alabama football, but the on-field product didn't live up to that legacy, right?
Right.
This was the first time for me that I remember after the game going, this is truly Alabama football. And I could endure this every Saturday for the rest of my life, right?
Right.
So that statement, this is Alabama football, after this game truly rang true to me. And this season would really, as you guys have alluded to, set that standard and be the bar that they would just begin to grow from, right? This was only just the genesis of Alabama. So what a cool way to look back, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, sir. Awesome.
Yeah, of course.
All right. Well, we will end the recording.
See you guys next time.